Hello and welcome to another edition of AI Impact Talk. My name is Thembekile Mrototo as we continue to see how corporations in South Africa, large and small, are incorporating artificial intelligence to the way in which they do business to make sure that the system is efficient not just for themselves, but for you as the end user as well. And today we're going to speak to someone who's in the banking space, if you will. The AI engineering lead with Standard Bank, Mabu Manaileng, is my guest on AI Impact Talk. Good to see you, sir. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Nice to see you in person.
Good to meet you. What does an AI engineering lead do at Standard Bank?
Yeah. So AI engineering is actually relatively quite a recent thing in Standard Bank. As formerly, AI engineering would just typically be known as data science.
Right.
But we consciously tried to separate the two because you can think of it as like there was a point where AI was a science problem, but then over time, AI became an engineering problem because the way you want to think about it is like you want the science to have impact on your customers and your business, create value out of it. So for you to do that, then you have to sort of follow these engineering principles. So for example, are you running your processes properly? Do you have sort of all your ducks in a row in general in terms of like your compute, your infrastructure, your ability to test things.
So very technical.
So you deal with the technicalities of it to enable the science to create value out of it.
Would I be right to say in saying that you basically deal with the machinery that enables the systems to work?
A typical AI engineer would be dealing with the machinery of making sure that AI works and then AI creates value and impact.
And you're basically then, as part of that, working on the integration of artificial intelligence into customer personalization, as Standard Bank likes to call it. What does that look like then on a daily?
Yes, and I think so. I lead AI engineering specifically focused on personalization. So in the personal and private banking space. So I work under what we call a center of excellence, which is basically research and development, where we test out the feasibility of deploying AI systems. And then once we're comfortable from a research and safety and all of this principles perspective, we roll them out to customers. So typically the way we use AI engineering in general, but because AI engineering is really the machinery, the engineering is the machinery part, but AI itself, the way we use it, is quite diverse. And I do want to take a step back here and just sort of try to sort of think about what AI is, because I think, today everybody just says AI. Most people today, when they say AI, they mean GenAI, but GenAI is just a one component.
That's generative AI, right?
Yeah. GenAI is generative AI. So that would be like, your ChatGPTs of today, your text to video models and those things. But then AI in general, it has a lot of components. In the bank, most of our utilization of AI is in recommender systems,
right?
And recommender systems are very different from GenAI, for example. And I think for the purpose of this conversation, we can just agree that when we say AI, we mean everything. So that would be statistical models, that would be like quantitative models, because the bank, we use a suite of types of different mathematical modeling, but they all fall under the umbrella of AI. So we would mostly use in recommender systems because we want to be able to sell the customers the right products, recommend the right products to the customer, because we're private banking. So we need to obviously optimize that private banking experience. At the end of the day, all our efforts around using AI is around client centricity. I mean, this is true for every organization.
Because if the client is happy, you are happy.
Yeah. It's true for every organization that we want client centricity, right? But it's sort of cliched now that, obviously client centricity is something that you should focus on, but we actively use AI in different types of dimensions. So for example, the first one is understanding the customer. So we need to know you as a customer. So we have this engine called customer DNA, for example, in the personalization space, that focuses on creating the DNA of the customer. So that's like, who are you? Where do you shop? What kind of shopping behaviors do you have? We can sort of be able to identify from a customer DNA perspective, whether a person is a chicken lover or a liker of books.
I am.
So that the way we deal with you, we deal with you knowing exactly what your customer traits.
So how do you do that? What is sort of needed, in fact, from an engineering perspective to be able to do that well?
Exactly. So I mean, from an engineering perspective, the biggest problem there is compute. It's like, how do you enable data scientists to be able to build models, to iterate quickly as well. So you need to get that engineering right. And then it's all data, right? It all starts with data, because every time you transact, we collect that data. If you shop online, we collect those are transactions.
Right.
So for us to profile you and be able to understand what kind of shopper are you, it's all about creating that ability to understand you from the data that we have.
And Standard Bank is a huge organization. You service millions of people, possibly daily. How much room, in fact, does that leave you in terms of personalization? How personal can personalization be with AI?
I mean, we so the CEO of the personal and private banking has a goal to make sure Standard Bank is the best private banking bank on the continent. I mean, we recently won an award, but we'll always obviously want to do better.
So you're already a step ahead.
We're already sort of the best.
Own it.
But we want to be the best. So that means, to be the best, you need to get the personalization
right.
Because we always talk in personalization, we talk about what we call contextual relevance. So I don't want to be selling you a funeral cover while the thing that you really need is a credit limit increase. So we need to figure that out. So when we talk about personalization in that sense, is understanding the need of the customer at the moment, not just as an umbrella to say, oh, we can see Thembekile has a check account but doesn't have a credit card. Let's sell Thembekile a credit card. Does Thembekile need a credit card? So that's what we need to figure out. And that's what we use AI for. And we use it for many things in terms of ultimately understanding what will be the most ideal offer for you at that moment. So it's personalized in that way. It's personalized in a way that we're not gonna, there is a concept called you can spam and pray or spray and pray, where you're spamming customers with products.
Just sending me any and everything that you have.
Anything that I have in the bank, I'm trying to get you to have it.
And you're hoping one thing sticks.
That's not how we do it, right? So we need to make sure that we streamline that experience. We need to make sure that we understand you as a customer, and we need to make sure that we also, because remember, we're servicing you. So we're not just trying to maximize the number of products our customers have, but rather the experience that you have with the bank is that you have the right product at the right time.
And that speaks to value, right? Unlocking, especially financial value for both parties, Standard Bank and me, let's say, as a customer. Absolutely.
I mean, in personalization, we really put the customer in the center. We care about customers. One of the things we do as our responsibility in customization is what we call personal finance management. So PFM is very popular. Every bank would typically be having that, but we put like very strong resources and investment in ensuring that the customer, we have what we call a digital money management, that the customer understands their financial picture just as well as we understand it, because it's very important to you. So for example, in PFM, you do things like wanting to understand how your credit score is changing. How is it, is it going down? Is it going up? You'll be wanting to know, am I spending money on groceries more than on entertainment or education? So customers need to know that. So we invest a lot in building the capacity to be able to allow customers to see that level of, and I mean, it becomes personalization. Immediately becomes personalization, right? When you want to say, for this customer, only this one, but you alone, you spending too much on, let's say, on entertainment, I can understand that and I surface it for you. When you go onto mobile banking app, we have a bunch of suite of tools there. We have what we call a budget manager, we have a credit score, we have future payments, and then we try to let people sort of get a sense of what their financial picture looks like.
So it's a two-way stream, and I think that's what I like, where it's not the generalized idea that companies are using AI so they get access to information, but you're also, am I right in saying, Mabu, in deploying your systems in such a way that even I, as the user, I'm able to understand myself better.
Exactly.
Through doing business with you.
And it's like it needs to benefit the customer first, right? It needs to benefit the customer first, because when the customer is happy, we are happy. So and this is where the huge potential is also emerging, even with GenAI now, where optimizing customer experience is like one of the most highest priority of any institution, especially in banking. Because when I create value for you, that value I also leverage off of. So personalization is really concerned about that, ensuring that the customer, and we can use all the AI in the world, but in the name of ensuring that we understand the customer, and the customer also gets value out of that, of us understanding that.
Give us perhaps an example for the customer, things that you've done perhaps in recent years where people don't even realize how Standard Bank has innovated in a way, different ways to bank better.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a tricky one, because, so for example, in South Africa, traditionally we were like, I need to go to the branch to do banking, and
go in, get a slip, write down the amount, make a deposit, or go in and make a manual withdrawal, right?
And I think collectively as a banking industry, historically, we've invested in evolving that kind of experience. We've evolved it to a point where, I mean, now this whole online banking thing, it's mostly trusted. And I mean, that's what we invested hard on.
It's what everyone prefers now.
Exactly, like trust it. But then instead of streamlining the experience, is like how much can you do on online banking? That's what we are concerned about. So it's more like, so for example, if you go onto the mobile app, what offer can you find on the mobile app that's relevant to you at that moment? Let's say, for example, you want to increase a credit card limit. Okay. You don't have to be calling anyone and then asking whether you qualify for it. We should know a priori that Thembekile, looking at their transaction behavior and then their financial status, they can actually qualify for an increase. And by the time you get to the mobile app, it's sitting there saying you're already pre-approved. You can. But that's, we figured it out because of our understanding of you. But it's all just the streamlining of banking to a point where, it's a mobile app. You can do whatever you can do most of the transactions. But I mean, because we're in personal and private banking, you can also think about it from most private banking customers will have bankers. So it's like, how do you use AI to optimize that relationship between the banker and the private banking customer?
And that leads me beautifully to what was going to be my next question about how, beyond personalization, how is AI now in Standard Bank systems?
Yeah, I mean, so, and if you think about beyond personalization, it's like the bank sort of, first of all, one of the most important investments, it should be optimizing the employees' times, right? To make sure that they are most effective, they are most productive. And then AI, especially Gen AI, it's one of the tools that we're beginning to use to optimize that kind of employee productivity. So for example, simple things like coding assistance. So making sure that as a bank, we can invest in ensuring that people, when they're writing code, they have like this AI that's supercharging them.
These are your employees.
Yeah, this would be our employees. So this will be internal, saying, how do we, because we mostly use Gen AI to unlock value from a customer interaction perspective, but there's also a lot of value sitting within the organization. Because if you think about cost reduction, there's a lot of value in reducing costs of anything. So then the question becomes, how do we use AI to do things like that? But optimizing time is one of the most important. I mean, outside of personalization, there's a risk team that deployed a very early ChatGPT, And I mean, to be honest, at Standard Bank, we've been wrestling AI for a very long time, and especially if you just use AI as an umbrella. But if you become even more specific, a few years ago already, we were like building this, retrieval augmented generation.
That's why you
systems.
won that award,
I suppose. but yeah, I think. Yeah, so internally we can use it especially to augment employees so that they are more effective. And also, there was one use case of that excites me, which is regulatory compliance. I mean, as a bank, we're heavily regulated.
Yes.
So then we need to make sure we maximize compliance. Now it's like, are there AI opportunities for us to do that? So for example, if you think about quality assurance, how can you automate quality assurance and that kind of thing? So there's pockets of AI everywhere in the bank, and all of them are either optimizing this employee productivity thing, or making sure we create value for not just shareholders, but also and especially the client.
And is it safe to say then, Mabu, that at this point it's that AI is in every aspect of banking?
I think so. I use this analogy that I always find funny, that AI is like Archer. Like you can have it with every meal.
I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah. So if you think about it that way, AI is sort of like being rolled out also to every aspect. But like I'm saying, that there is this historical AI thing, and then there is this new AI thing. But if you look at it that way, we have AI in every aspect of our business, and we want to. I mean, for GenAI is a bit risky because it's not the same as like traditional AI, right? So our CEO has made the mandate that we're going to be fast followers. We're not going to be market leaders of GenAI, because we don't want to be examples of regulators fining people.
You don't want to be the guy that go, remember when Standard Bank did it?
Exactly.
Here's where they went wrong.
But it's like there's no point of being first and then get it wrong.
You know what they say in news? Rather late and right than early and then get it wrong.
Yes. I mean, I think we're going to be like the Apple of AI. Apple doesn't, when technologies come through, Apple is not always the first one to roll it out. But when they do it right.
It's basically about perfecting the product.
So we want to perfect our craft. We don't really want to be market leaders. Also, the if you think about it, the risk of like this Gen AI thing, because Gen AI is really uncontrollable at this stage. So you want to start with low risk type of projects as well. You want to start with low risk, high impact but low risk, where you know that if something goes wrong, the blast radius is going to be small. But I mean, our strategy now, especially with just handling the rollout of Gen AI in general, is like to ensure that we have what we call human in the loop at all cases. So don't expose the AI to the customer directly as a start, right? Because I mean, the reason why ChatGPT and those models can lie, it's what we call hallucinations in large language models. So you don't want a chatbot on your mobile app hallucinating balances to a customer.
Look, if it adds zeros, me, I'm ready. If you can just add 3 zeros.
Yeah. So currently, like our rollout strategy is quite it's a make sure that we're sort of very careful.
So responsible use as well of AI is important, am I right? Especially in such a heavily regulated space as banking.
And I think that the responsible use of AI is becoming a word that doesn't carry any weight anymore, because everybody says it, but we don't really sort of navigate exactly what does that look like. So, and I think it's important because, especially as technicians who understand how the models work and what the possible impact of the models could be, we always have to be careful about ensuring that we deploy responsibly. So I'll give you a scenario. So if my AI engineers build a system that can, say, automate the entire call center of Standard Bank, is it safe for me to deploy that system at the risk of all those people being unemployed? Although the business value is there, the AI responsible AI aspect comes on when you can do it, but choosing not to do it because it's an irresponsible thing to do.
And how do you walk the tightrope, so to speak? So being innovative, implementing tools in the AI space that allow you to be competitive, but also the sensitivities around people and their involvement in the process. Because whenever we have this conversation, one of the fears is about people being cut out of the process completely.
Yeah, and I think that's an irresponsible way of deploying AI. I think the way we should think about deploying AI and the strategies that I would give any executive anytime in any meeting at the bank is always to say, augment people. So augment their productivity, augment, if let's say the idea of replacement is just, it's not a useful way of deploying.
So it's to improve than replace.
To augment.
Yes.
So the mantra in the industry is that, like, AI won't take your job, but somebody who uses AI will. Because obviously when you have an AI co-pilot, you are better. Because, like the logic we use is that AI is like electricity. So if you're two companies, the other one has electricity, the other one doesn't, you can't compete. So we have to use AI because of that, because it's a supercharger. But we should use it exactly as that, a supercharger, not necessarily a replacer of things.
With that in mind then, perhaps as a parting shot, having considered our conversation today, what does AI mean to you?
Yeah. So AI means a lot of things to me. And I think it's multifaceted because I like to say AI is a democratizing technology. So, and this will be just a personal reflection that I think, technologies come and go, but then when AI came, and well, as it's coming now, it's creating so many opportunities that sort of undermines historical backgrounds. So, for example, having worked in tech my whole life, it's like tech has always had this gender problem, right? Where it's like, where are the females in the spaces? Where are this? And then you would see that historically, like the females would not have been included in the tech spaces. So AI, what it does is that no one has a history of being involved in AI per se. I mean, besides the people who've been working on AI research and building these models that we're using today, most of the people, especially here in South Africa, most of the people only heard of AI after ChatGPT. So that kind of creates this leveling field where it's like you don't have any historical advantage, you know? So that's why I'm calling it a democratizing technology in that way. I feel like there's no historical advantage for anyone to be able to get involved in AI.
Right. All animals are equal in a sense.
All animals are absolutely equal. And I would encourage, everyone from all walks of life. I mean, one of the things that we're also seeing in the industry is that the more people who come to work in the AI field, they actually don't have an AI background. You have somebody who studied physics or somebody who studied chemistry or something. So it's actually it's a leveling field in that way. And I would really, I mean, I think AI is the future of many things, not everything, but it's the future of many things. And I think this is the greatest opportunity for people to be involved in building a future by just getting involved in AI. In any case, if you don't have an AI partner or you don't get augmented by AI, you're really going to fail to compete. It's going to be very difficult because, you don't have electricity.
It is what it is.
You don't have electricity.
Well, if you're South African, that's a familiar feeling.
Very common.
Mabu Manaileng, good to talk to you. AI engineering lead at Standard Bank. I hope you've enjoyed this edition of AI Impact Talk with me, Thembekile Mrototo. We'll have another one for you very soon. Bye-bye.